I'm really privileged and honored to be sharing my my caregiving journey with viewers on this amazing platform. And let me applaud you on this amazing initiative to create such an supportive ecosystem of community givers who can share their life experiences, be there for each other, hold hands in this journey. And if my journey of caregiving can inspire, motivate, energize, uplift, and heal other caregivers, my job is done. I'll be the proudest.
Thank you so much, Anita. And a bit about yourself. Who is Anita?
Well, Vandana, I'm a freelance writer, poet, blogger, spiritualist, and an incorrigible dreamer. I dream very big, and I know I can achieve them. I have that will and determination. And the odd once in a blue moon adventurist. I've done paragliding at 8,800 meters, jumping off from the cliff at Interlaken in Alps, Switzerland.
You are one adventurous woman. So I would say I have the pleasure of hosting a woman of substance today. Anita, you and I, we have spoken about Colonel Panda's journey and how you have been there to support him. Colonel Panda, viewers, is her brother. And I request, Anita, that if you could talk us through what happened, how did you manage what he was going through? Yeah, please.
Thank you, Vandana. 2018 was the dark nightmare year of my life. I call it the pandemic of my life, even before the official pandemic had begun. I was going through the dissolution of my 27-year-old marriage, which had me completely emotionally devastated. Around the same time in March 2018, my brother, Colonel Surya Panda, an engineer in the Indian Army, in his last posting at Meerut, was detected with a cyst in the right side of his head, and he was operated upon. But being a very discreet and introvert, he cautioned me not to share it with my parents and elder brothers. So this was a very, very, it was a horrific nightmare I would not wish even my enemy. I was going through chaotic emotions, rage, denial, shock, anger, helplessness, and my brother's bout with the beginning of his cancer completely stumped me. And it was October 30th, 2018, when my brother was detected with what is called a rare aggressive skin cancer, malignant melanoma. Further tests revealed that it was a very rare cancer where generally people do not survive beyond 1 year. And it was the most traumatic emotional moment for me when my brother sent me to Tata Memorial, Mumbai. I stood in the queue for 1.5 hours doing the registration, seeking a second opinion with the oncologist at Tata Memorial. And you will not believe how I stood there. I was shaking, but I was controlling my tears when she told me that he has just 1 year to live. So it was a horrifying nightmare.
My heart goes out to you, Anita. And cancer, any diagnosis which says it's cancer can be really devastating for not only for the person who's been diagnosed with the disease, but also for the family. And hearing you, Anita, when you talk about you being there and hearing it as a second opinion, where you are hoping that somewhere the oncologist may say that the first consult may be a little flawed, for you to be standing there and having to hear all over again that he's got very limited time to live, must have been so devastating. Tell me, Anita, more about what happened thereafter.
Vandana, my research revealed that the annual incidence of this cancer, which is very rare, is just 0.4 of one case per 1 lakh of people. And Surya was the unfortunate one. And at 54, Surya was, studying at the Noida branch of IIM Lucknow to increase his post-retirement employability. But this diagnosis completely interrupted his course and threw his life out of gear. The date of his surgery, 13th November, which is usually considered an ill omen, 2018, 13 November, was an acid test for our faith, for the entire family, in terms of both science and spirituality. While one of the finest army oncosurgeons was operating on Surya in the critical 6-hour surgery at the military hospital in Delhi, I and the entire family were feverishly praying for Surya's recovery. It was a harrowing wait, but a miracle when Surya's wife, Reena, immediately announced on the family WhatsApp group and informed friends and us, the entire family and well-wishers, that the surgery was successful. So our prayers had been answered. And the first round of this sinister battle, which we call Operation Vijay, was won. But there was a long battle ahead still. What followed, Vandana, was 6 long weeks of painful radiotherapy to Surya's neck, the right side of his neck, where he was operated. Another surgery on his scalp, immunoinfusions, a year-long phase of immunoinfusions, with 26 infusions administered once every 2 weeks. And Reena, his wife and primary caregiver, my sister-in-law, she bore the brunt of it all with exceptional courage and positivity, taking on all the aggressive side effects of his chemo, of his exhaustive treatment, and taking on the additional care burdens, of running, keeping a positive, lively, energetic atmosphere at home and attending to Surya's needs. The first time when I saw him in February 2020, Vandana, was an emotionally overwhelming moment for me. He was my brother, counselor, mentor, confidant, everything. He was everything for me. And to see him in that state just brought about, tears in my eyes and a relief of surge and gratitude, that our prayers had been answered. He looked frail and gaunt, and I noticed his right skewed right lower lip, Luckily, he had escaped facial palsy. So that was a huge, huge victory for us. Surya was a fighter and optimist to the core. It was his invincible courage and his optimism, his positivity. He would always say, I'm supremely positive. I will overcome this. And that gave us additional strength.
Anita, I can actually feel Surya talking through you. I can see the love you felt for your brother, and it's not an easy battle at all. It's not at all. And what you as a sister and what Reena as a wife and his kids must have gone through, we cannot even fathom what you went through. So when you talk of seeing him for the first time after surgery, I can also feel the love. I can also feel the joy. I can also feel the gratitude at that moment, because it's, when you're battling cancer of that sort, every small victory is can give you so much hope. What happened after that, Anita?
Well, before I go on to the next part, I would like to tell you that Surya had fought very tricky counter-insurgency operations on India's borders with great valor. And he fought this with equal valor. He fought both the internal and external battles with such exceptional courage that we are so proud of him. But this battle was an invisible one that made it worse. And the enemy was the enemy within his body, an ominous enemy devouring and mutating his cells greedily. So it was very difficult to understand what was going on within Surya's body. And for me, Vandana, as a long distance...
Can I just add something here? This is for Surya, for Colonel Panda. And as a soldier, huge respect for him. And as someone who fought it with all his might, I double the respect for him, because it's not easy. And the positivity that he probably kept all through his surgery emanates through you, Anita. I can just... when you talk of him, I get goose flesh. I can actually feel the love the both of you had, and maybe I'm sure he got the strength to fight from you also. Yeah, I'm sorry I had to interrupt and say that, because I know what it is like to be a soldier in the Indian Army. So from the entire team of Caregiver Saathi, salutes to who he was, a soldier. And
Thank you on Surya's behalf. I'm overwhelmed.
yeah, and you were saying, Anita, as a long
Yes, so
distance
for me, Vandana, as a long distance caregiver, it has not been easy at all. While Verena, my sister-in-law, was his primary caregiver and took on all the charge of all his physical, emotional, medical needs. For me, as a sister, to go through my brother's 2-year battle with cancer was completely paralyzing emotionally. It devastated me. And I had to, I somehow I plunged into I slipped into the role of a proactive elder sibling to give the strength and courage which Surya needed in this battle. So though I was completely devastated, Vandana, I took charge of my emotions. And, I completely threw myself into chanting, Reiki healing, praying, taking help from my spiritual group, and taking help from the Soka Gakkai group. I was introduced to Nichiren Buddhism, which is a very empowering philosophy, and which I applied for Surya, and it did help him during this period. I was introduced to it by a dear friend. And for me personally, Vandana, this has been an intensely emotional and spiritual journey of transformation and human revolution. By human revolution, I mean tapping my strength, my inner strength, my resilience, of deep faith, going into that inwards journey to bring forth the inner resilience and courage to face this adversity with calmness and patience as best as I could. And it wasn't at all easy, but what kept me going through this was complete surrender to that one higher force that governs our lives, of becoming one with the divine consciousness, my unshakable faith in spirituality. And, Surya's own courage was very energizing and inspiring for all of us in the family. He too kept us going in this battle with his courage and positivity. So this has been a profound journey of learning, unlearning, and relearning for me in every way. And what kept me going through this was also, as I said, my abiding faith in the Buddhist practice of Nichiren Buddhism. This is a very hope-giving and empowering philosophy, Vandana, which is based on the belief that winter always turns to spring. And no matter what the challenge or adversity, you can and will overcome it. So it gave me that lion's courage and the conviction that we will overcome it. It taught me wisdom, courage, gratitude, compassion. It taught me to keep aside my own grief and transform my karma, my brother's karma, into a mission. It gave me a mission to fight the battle for Surya. And also the emotional support, I must say, from the entire Buddhist Soka Gakkai group, the Buddhist leaders, my entire spiritual group, my Reiki healing, and the Reiki healer, Divya Bajaj, I must mention. I had arranged for this very competent Reiki healer who gave Reiki to Surya throughout his 2-year battle with cancer. My friends, well-wishers, they all have stood by me. And though I was physically alone fighting this battle in Mumbai, as a long-distance caregiver, their support kept me going through this.
Thank you, Anita, for sharing what you've just, what you've just shared with. Sharing what you've been through while Surya was battling this invisible monster. And for the viewers, I hope you've made a note of how there are times when you are away and there isn't much you can do. You find ways to reach out to your loved one. You with Anita, she turned to spirituality. She turned to Reiki, and that was what she did for her brother. During our conversations before this, she mentioned that on the phone she would give Reiki healing sessions to Colonel Panda, and for herself, I can't even imagine the trauma that she must be going through, having gone through so much herself. She found her peace in spiritualism, in Buddhism. And it is so important for all caregivers to have one go-to person, one go-to faith, which can help them stay grounded. And Anita, when you talk of, having spiritual support around you and Buddhism and Reiki around you. I also want to know a bit about, there were times I'm sure that when things looked bleak, you have spoken about how cancer was winning the battle. And when you felt all alone, who, along with your support structure of spiritualism, who was the support structure, or who was your Saathi, as to say, who gave you that additional courage to carry on and be there for your brother?
Vandana, I have been a very strong person mentally, though I was completely devastated with these incidents in my life. It was Nichiren Buddhism, chanting the Daimokus, which infused me with that courage and conviction. And though I was physically alone, I did not need anybody. Honestly speaking, it was just my incessant, daily, rigorous chanting and chanting of Daimokus for Surya, praying as a Hindu to all the gods in my mandir, and my own inner strength. So I would attribute it to Nichiren Buddhism, to Reiki healing, and to my own inner strength, which a lot of it goes to my Buddhist practice and to the Buddhist leaders who constantly held my hand, to my entire spiritual group. So I did not really miss anybody physically. I was fighting the battle alone physically here in Mumbai. But as a long distance caregiver, all these, I never felt alone, Vandana, because these wonderful leaders and spiritualists were all with me, holding my hand, giving me that courage to constantly fight my brother's battle. So I never felt alone.
Yeah, and also I remember somewhere during the conversation you mentioned about your friends, and friends do come in as a huge support when you're going through something as traumatic as what Anita has been through. And for all caregivers, it is very important to find someone. And Anita has been, because of her own efforts and because of her support structure around her, she's got that particular a group to fall back on. So it is so important, even when you are into distant caregiving, to have a solid support structure around you.
Also, Vandana, what helped me is, sorry to interrupt, but what helped me much through this process of caregiving was, writing an article on my brother's fight with cancer, which was published on Raksha Bandhan and Independence Day. And I particularly requested the editor of this magazine, who's a good friend, to offer it as a gift to my brother, a Raksha Bandhan and Independence Day gift, One, because he's my brother, and two, because he's a soldier, a warrior. He was a soldier and warrior. So, and she was so kind. And that writing that article helped me release a lot of my emotions, because it was not easy to put forth my emotions, to go through that painstaking process, but it helped me release my emotions, my trauma. And it was the best gift I could have given to Surya.
How heartwarming is that? To express your love, your emotions, and your bond with your loved one through writing. I think writing comes in as such a big blessing, and journaling helps us deal with our raw emotions. So that is another very important lesson that Anita is giving out to the caregivers who are into distant caregiving, that sometimes use writing as a friend. It will help you offload your difficult emotions that you are going through at that particular moment when you're going through the journey of caregiving. Anita, while you've spoken about everything and about what all you went through, and how difficult it's been, to be tackling that all by yourself. That is, absolute in awe of your spirit and of the gutsy woman that you are. I also would like a message from you to distant caregivers. What would you like to tell them?
Well, my message, Vandana, would be absolutely drawn from my brother, my indefatigable warrior brother, Surya's life. He was a role model for me and for many others. So through his own, the way he lived and fought the internal and external battles with such valor, I will give forth the message to all the viewers and caregivers: face your fears, 1. 2, accept your illness, the illness of your terminally ill loved one, gracefully as Surya did. Accept it and believe and make the person believe that life is beautiful, no matter what the adversity or challenge. It is to be lived every moment to be cherished. Find your source of strength and sustenance, as I did, in whatever best resonates with you. It could be music, it could be spirituality, it could be dancing, singing, taking short rest periods. Be organized with your medical history and create and organize, space out your activities at home in such a way that you, as the caregiver, are not mentally drained out, emotionally drained out, with short rest periods. Cook fresh meals at home. Do not, as in Surya's case, his wife Reena was, I'm really amazed at the way she tweaked his diet and, changed it to a completely naturopathic diet. And Surya himself switched over to naturopathy, food therapy, meditation. He made a very, very determined effort. Both he and Reena made a very determined effort to switch over gradually wean over from immunotherapy and chemotherapy to a naturopathy-based lifestyle. Unfortunately, it did not work out. But this and also as you said, keep a journal of your feelings and emotions, because it helps release your emotional trauma and, helps you keep the mental balance and clarity. Provide emotional counseling and support to the terminally ill patient, because they have their emotional mood swings and depression and anxiety. And above all, I would say, keep the soldier in you alive. This is what Surya, when invited to give a short speech on World Cancer Day, even when battling his illness, Surya went up on the stage and said, keep the soldier in you alive and intact always. That is a huge, powerful message I would give to all the caregivers and viewers. Never give up. Fight on like the soldier. Keep the soldier in you intact and alive, and fight on like Surya did, a warrior and soldier. And something else which I would like to mention is Surya's huge victory. 1 month post his critical 6-hour surgery, Surya was, such a determined warrior that he not only managed to complete his IIM course from IIM, the Noida branch of IIM Lucknow, but as he went up the stage amidst the thunderous applause, he was given that certificate for completing the management course despite his battle with cancer. It was like Reena, his wife, and primary caregiver, I, and the entire family had bagged the certificate. We are so, so proud of my brother.
And we are also so proud of him, Anita. Again, through you, Surya lives on.
He lives through me.
Yeah, he lives on. And whatever you've shared about Surya today, I have created an image of him, and as a soldier, as someone who battled cancer valiantly, he will live on forever. And the message that Anita is giving out to the viewers is very simple. You need to find ways to self-preserve. You don't want to break down and be a burden on your loved one, because at that moment, your support is very important to the one who's going through, physically going through that illness as severe as cancer. So please self-preserve. You need to take care of yourself so that you are there for your loved one. And that's a wonderful, piece of wisdom that you've shared with all our viewers, Anita. And one very important question that I want to ask you, as a distant caregiver, what were the challenges that you faced, Anita?
The hugest challenge, Vandana, for me was the physical distance, because I was fighting my battle here alone and I could not go and be with him for long periods. The only time I went was in February 2020, just after, as his surgery was there in 2018, but I went much later after that. So that is my regret as well as my hugest challenge, because I had to manage my own home here. And it was, I think the biggest challenge for a long distance caregiver is the absence, the physical absence of the terminally ill patient. So all I could do was chat with him via WhatsApp. I could not even speak to him because there were times when he would go through the aggressive side effects of chemotherapy, the nausea, the fatigue, the headache, the tastelessness, the inability to swallow, and aggressive skin rashes erupting all over his body, which made it difficult for Surya to not only battle cancer, but to talk to us in the family. So Reena, his primary caregiver and wife, she was the spokesperson for the entire family. But for us, it was very difficult as long distance caregivers, especially for me as a sister, to be connected with him. And something else which I must say, one of my proudest and happiest moments in this battle, though it has been a very traumatic battle, was the successful compilation and publication of Surya's collection of poems, Genesis. It was published on July 15th. I'm very, very proud of my achievement. And this is one way I'm carrying forward Surya's legacy of courage and positivity, his talent, his exceptional meritorious work, which is unsung, but is now published on some of the, portals outside India. And I'm waiting for the book links and the titles to arrive to my account so that I can promote it actively and hopefully give you a copy.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I look forward to reading that.
It's a sister's heartfelt and humble tribute to her warrior brother.
I'm sure it'll be cherished by whosoever reads it, Anita. And I would love reading it. And I can't wait to get my hands on it.
Make sure you get a copy.
In fact, I was just coming to that. You preempted your answer. I was just going to ask you any happy moment that you would like to share. So thank you for sharing that you have compiled his work and you are presenting it to the world. Again, ensuring that Surya lives on. Anything else, any other happy memory of Surya that you would like to share with me and all our viewers?
Oh, there are so many and countless, every moment spent with him is priceless. And it remains with me. Surya's framed photograph is right ahead of me. And I take his blessings every day. I remember and recall all those childhood sibling fights and those, his guidance, his wisdom. Though he was elder to me by just 2.5 years, Vandana, he was a Buddha in life as in death. He was a seer. He was a clairvoyant. He was wiser beyond his years. And the gem and jewel in our family, everyone looked up to. And many others outside the family looked up to Surya as a mentor, as a guide, as a counselor. So he was an exceptional soldier. He was an exceptional man, one of those rare, exceptional souls sent to this earth. He lived a very short, but very eventful and a very courageous life. And all I can say is, to the viewers, to all the caregivers watching this show, Surya's message, which Surya lived by, and his WhatsApp DP, that defines Surya's attitude and very much my own attitude now, which I've adopted from Surya, and my message to the caregivers again, that life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. Surya was that kind of a soul. And also, I'd like to quote from one of my favorite Indian films. You must have heard of it, and I'll leave it to you to guess. It's very easy. Babu Moshe, Zindagi badi honi chahiye, lambi nahi. Surya's life proved that.
Absolutely. Very well said, Anita. Zindagi lambi nahi, badi honi chahiye. Live your life in such a way that everyone remembers you. And with that,
and my wish is also to create a Surya Panda fundraiser someday, God willing, with my parents' blessings and everybody's good wishes. So this is given me a fresh new mission in life, that Surya is still with us in our hearts, and I am the torchbearer of his legacy, apart from his children and the other youngsters in our family, his nephews, his children, all of us. But I look at myself as one of the torchbearers of carrying forward Surya's legacy of positivity, courage, and exceptional wisdom. And I hope that one day I can create a Surya Panda fundraiser to not only raise awareness about his cancer, which is rare, but also to help and heal cancer patients in India and worldwide. God willing. Amen.
Amen to that. I'm sure it'll happen. And also,
thank you.
Anita, thank you for sharing your brother with us. And
thank you, Vandana. Thank you, the entire Caregiver Saathi team. Thank you, Bhavna. Thank you, all my caregiver friends, and all the viewers for giving me this wonderful opportunity. Hope my journey of caregiving has been able to inspire, empower, and uplift and heal some of you at least. Thank you.
And in addition to being Colonel Panda's daughter, Anita is a woman of substance. Sister, Dr. Colonel, I'm sorry about that, Colonel Panda's sister. She is a wonderful human being, a woman
Thank you.
who
So
has been through all odds and resurrected herself.
And I
So-
stand tall and strong. I've reclaimed my life. And it's a message to all the women out there that look, marriage is not the be all and end all of life.
Yes.
You can still resurrect. That no one and nobody is indispensable. And no one is permanent in life. This is the profound life lesson I've learned.
Thank you so much, Anita.
And even now I've resurrected and reclaimed my life. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here today and taking us through your long distance caregiving journey. Thank you for keeping Surya alive. We've been very privileged to hear Surya's story and also so honored that you're keeping his legacy alive. And there are many lessons from your caregiving journey that our viewers and our caregivers are going to take back home. Thank you so
Vandana.
much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure, a privilege, and honor. Absolutely.
Thank you. Likewise. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.